If you've passed Chapter 5 in the main campaign of Yakuza Like a Dragon, you've probably already unlocked the business management minigame. At first, it can be a little intimidating. This minigame is a little complex with elements that impact many other parts of the game, and if you want to experience the game in full, unlock additional party members, and access missable content, you're going to want to complete it. But fear not, now that I have successfully taken Ichiban Holdings to number 1, I'm going to explain all of the things you need to know to be successful while managing your business. I'm Chill, and this is the ultimate business management guide for Ichiban Confections. How to unlock the business management minigame? Just by playing the main story, you'll end up unlocking the business management minigame on Chapter 5. After meeting Eri, the sub-story in Jingo's safety net will be unlocked. Go through the tutorial and talk to Eri 2 more times to learn all the basics, and you'll be all set. Understanding the basics of management. So, as a business management simulator, Ichiban is granted initial capital to kick things off, taking the role of president, but this money comes with certain stipulations. He is not only tasked with hitting certain goals with Ichiban Confections, but also with other requirements. The company must never be in the red. The company's share price ranking must be in Yokohama's top 100 after 4 periods, and at some point you need to reach first place. The third milestone just means you have to reach the end of the minigame, so you could ignore it for now. In management, the focus should always be in maintaining a steady cash flow, so you can avoid taking on loans. My tip? Never take loans. They're completely unnecessary to get through the game. Also, keep in mind that the company's capital and Ichiban's own money are always separate. All your attention should be on making high earnings from your properties and keeping employees in check. After that, you need to relieve shareholders' concerns during meetings. If you're keeping everyone happy and making enough money, you'll be in a good position when facing the shareholders. From here, it's much more straightforward than it seems. Goals have a set number of periods until you need to fulfill the deadline. Your first goal mentions 4 periods, so that means 4 days inside the minigame per period. During this time, you can upgrade, purchase, or sell properties, hire new employees, or promote the ones you have already recruited, and then open for business. When you open, this will lead to a separate screen where you see a tiny Ichiban running through a long road, which represents the costs of opening that property in red, while showcasing all the profits you gain in green. Once that's over, you'll see how the overall number is affected by your current costs and the final amount that goes to your capital. Rinse and repeat until the end. This is a time when a shareholder meeting will take place, which are crucial moments in which you'll need to convince them you're actually doing a great job. These are battles of sorts. Once they're over, you'll most likely rank up several steps towards top 100, top 50, and so on as the minigame progresses. The best part is, you can opt in and out at any time, so if you want to return to the main game and come back later, feel free to. Ichiban Confections, as modest and humble as it is, can only take you so far. You'll have to purchase more properties as soon as possible. The number of properties you can own is capped depending on the rank you stand on at the moment. At first you only have 1 additional slot, as Ichiban Confections cannot be sold, and then it expands over time to 6 slots. This is great since it helps you keep a slow pace during the beginning and makes the economic leaps much more substantial when you reach your goals and set on accomplishing new ones. There's quite a bit to consider on top of the purchase price. There's always information on the descriptions, such as whether or not it will lead to a huge profit, or if it won't have many spikes but maintain a rather steady income, and the areas that will be worth improving over others. But in reality, it's best to keep an eye on the expected profit, how many yen symbols in the property has, called sales volume, and the areas you'll have to focus on the most. So don't just look at expected profit. You need to also make sure that the operating expectations are reasonable. Expected profit always gives you an estimate of how much money you make from opening a business with that property, but this can be increased with sales volume. If there's 3 yen symbols, for example, that means it can be upgraded 3 times. Increasing sales volume also increases the need for respective areas, which are always product, service, and notability. This is where your employees come into play. If the sliders for all 3 areas are on either side of the needle, they'll be light blue. If not, they'll be red. This will vary depending on the people you choose to assign to that property, as they have their own specialties. You'll see 3 slots for this. The leader is going to be the backbone in terms of stats, and if employee icon matches the property, even better. Then, both member slots showcase a preferable stat to increase. Properties such as cabarets will focus more on service than product, for example. Again, choosing the right people for the job is key since it will allow you to increase the sales volume and make a difference in your funds. In addition, here are some other quick tips. Remember that you can't sell your main business, and you can't get rid of the old lady or Omelette, but who would want to? Omelette does come in handy for shareholder meetings. I know he's a chicken, but take my word for it. The toggle item button prompt inside a property lets you switch between employee assignment, property improvement upgrades, and the property trade selling properties, so you can easily interact with all three fronts without leaving the tab. Lastly, don't be afraid to sell properties. At first, it might look like anything is a big profit, especially after investing heavily on the property. But the more you rank up, the more you'll notice when it's time to sell them, to purchase something that has similar or higher expected profits. You'll be starting from scratch, but the stats are better, and the profits only grow higher when you increase in sales volume. Once in a while, Aerie will approach you with an investment opportunity of some kind. Because there really is no additional insight into each scheme, I would recommend saying no to every one. Every time I've agreed to one of these investments, I've never got a return. I don't know what your experience has been, but I think it's better to keep shareholders happy with a bunch of extra cash on hand than to give it up and potentially lose it. So my recommendation is just pass on any of these investment opportunities she brings up. Purchasing the most prestigious properties in town means nothing if you don't have people working on them. As I explained previously, it's really important to hire the best people for each job. Once management is unlocked, you'll be able to recruit new potential employees in the streets. And not all of them are good. Just look for characters that have a distinct sign on their heads and talk to them. The rarer employees will usually have certain requirements that you'll need to fulfill before you can hire them. You can obtain some employees also by doing sub-stories. You never want to hire more people than you'll need, and only hire new people if you have someone else you plan on swapping them with. Recruits always start at level 1, which means you have to pay to train them. There's an initial cost for hiring, plus their salary, which impacts labor costs. Paying for seminars to level them up for promotions adds even more costs. That's where it gets tricky. You need to invest in a substantial amount of yen into your employees if you want them to perform at their best capacity, but this means you'll increase the labor costs of the property that have been assigned, which means less profits for you. So my advice is, don't do promotions unless you absolutely have to keep them at the company. For me, my cycle would be making sure everyone is happy by giving bonuses, seeing if there are any upgrades or new hires with better capabilities, and then going back for another business day simulation. So here are some other things to remember. Employees will not level up past their limit until you've promoted them, so keep this in mind when paying for training. Even employees who have been terminated or recruited by other companies won't be off the table forever, meaning there will be opportunities for a rehire in case you don't want to spend money on a sudden promotion to keep them. Shareholder meetings are crucial moments in your business journey. You'll have to choose up to 4 employees to join Ichiban and face a group of investors. These are Q&A battles played in real time, but don't fret, you won't actually have to answer anything. It's all about choosing employees with the right stats, understanding how the minigame can work in your favor, and using all the tools at your disposal. I recommend every time you have a meeting available to prepare yourself first. If you've been making a higher profit than the past period, that will give you an advantage ahead of it. But perhaps most importantly is improving people's moods with bonuses before the meeting. As you gain more profit, paying for bonuses won't be such a big cost, and you should always do this before going toe-to-toe in front of the investors. You can always check your status in the middle of your sales cycles to see where you're going to stand before the shareholder meeting. Also, you're going to want to pick the best employees you have for these occasions. That's where employee response time becomes critical. If employees take too long to think of an answer, that's bad. So you want people to have the shortest wait times possible before sending out another answer to break down a shareholder's defenses. And this is why Omelette is good. It doesn't take long before you can get another answer out to appease a shareholder. It's also vital to use Ichiban's apology skills. These don't have any extra costs, and you can deal damage to all the shareholders at once. It's a very nice boost to have and one you should put into practice each meeting. During longer meetings, you'll have the chance to let the meter fill up and deal a level 2 or a level 3 apology, which have their own bonuses as well as more damage. The more meetings you attend, the more time will be of the essence. So keep an eye on the timer so you'll know when is the best time to sit back and wait a couple seconds before you can deal a more powerful apology. In addition, don't worry if you weren't able to deplete an enemy's health during the first time. Keep on circling with the rest and come back to them afterwards. If any of the shareholders are low on health, a quick apology might do the trick, Plus, they always go on standby when you're answering someone else's questions, so use this to your advantage. Now, the minigame doesn't tell you this, but up to rank 100, options to increase your profits are only incremental. But the more cash you have on hand and have coming in every period, the happier the shareholders will be. Here where I would like to answer some questions some people might have about the game, but some might feel this information is potentially spoilery, so if you're concerned about spoilers, I recommend stop watching now. The first question is, where is the business management game in Yakuza Like a Dragon? Sometimes you might get lost and not remember where you're supposed to go to continue playing it. When the game first starts, you always head here. After an office upgrade, you head here. Lastly, how to get Eri in your party. Eri Kamataki joins your team once you successfully rank up in the business management minigame. And that's all I have to share for now. I am a big Yakuza fan and I've been streaming the games on Twitch and YouTube, so if you ever want to watch or chat about the games, you can find me there or here. Please drop a like and or sub if inclined, and I'll see you later in Kamurocho.